Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Discovery, watching the stars through the main viewing screen. 3 years into their deep space mission, he still felt amazed by the endless darkness filled with distant lights. This was humanity's first journey beyond the Orion Arm, farther from Earth than any human had ever traveled. "Captain, we're picking up something strange," said Dr. Lisa Carter from her science station. She was the ship's chief science officer, a woman in her 30s with short brown hair and sharp green eyes. Her fingers moved quickly across her control panel as data filled her screens. Jake walked over to her station. "What kind of strange?" "Massive structures around that red giant star," Lisa said, pointing at a dim red dot on the screen. "They're too big to be natural and too organized to be random space debris." Ben Rodriguez looked up from his communications console. The young man had been trying to map radio signals from this sector for weeks. "I'm getting weird readings too, Captain. It's like music, but not quite. The patterns are too complex for any known language." Amy Walsh, the ship's engineer, turned from her position at the back of the bridge. She was a tall woman with blonde hair tied back in a practical ponytail. "The ship's sensors are going crazy. Whatever those things are, they're made of some kind of crystal that we've never seen before." Jake felt his heart beat faster. First contact protocols ran through his mind. Every human in space had trained for this moment. But now that it might be happening, he felt unprepared. "Put it on the main screen," he ordered. The view changed, showing their destination star system. Around the dying red giant, enormous crystal structures floated in perfect geometric patterns. Each crystal was the size of a small moon, glowing with soft blue light. There were hundreds of them, arranged in patterns that looked almost like a city built in space. "How long have they been there?" Jake asked. Lisa checked her readings. "Based on the star's age and the orbital mechanics, these structures are at least 1 million years old, maybe more." The bridge fell silent. 1 million years was longer than humans had existed as a species. Whatever built these crystals had been here when Earth was covered in ice, and early humans were just learning to make fire. "Captain," Ben said, his voice shaking slightly, "the musical patterns are getting stronger. It's like they know we're here." As if responding to his words, the crystals began to pulse with brighter light. The soft blue glow became a rhythmic pattern that seemed to match the strange sounds coming through their communication system. "Are they trying to communicate?" Jake asked. "I think so," Lisa said. "But the complexity is beyond anything I've seen. This isn't just math or pictures. It's like they're trying to send us emotions or memories." Amy suddenly gasped. "Captain, something's happening to me." Before Jake could respond, images began to flash in his mind. He saw Earth, but not the Earth he knew. This was Earth from long ago, when vast ice sheets covered the continents. But there were structures there too, made of the same crystal material as the ones around the red giant. And there were humans, but they looked different, more primitive. The images showed these early humans learning to make tools, to build fires, to work together. But they weren't learning alone. Shadowy figures watched from a distance, sometimes leaving behind strange objects that the humans would find and study. "Are you all seeing this?" Jake asked, his voice barely a whisper. "Yes," Lisa said. "It's like watching a movie in my head. But how is this possible?" The images continued. Jake saw the rise of human civilization, the building of the first cities, the development of writing and mathematics. And always, in the background, there were hints of the Watchers, strange symbols carved in stones that wouldn't be invented for thousands of years, structures built with precision that early humans shouldn't have possessed. "They've been watching us," Amy said. "For our entire history, they've been watching us." The crystal structures suddenly became much brighter. A beam of energy reached out from the largest crystal and surrounded their ship. Jake felt no fear, only a strange sense of coming home. "Captain, we're being pulled toward them," Amy reported. "But it's gentle. They're not trying to hurt us." "Should I resist?" Jake asked. Lisa shook her head. "I don't think we could if we wanted to. This technology is far beyond ours. But Captain, I don't think they mean us harm. The images they're showing us, it's like they're trying to tell us something important. As the Discovery moved closer to the Crystal City, Jake saw that the structures weren't just floating in space. They were connected by streams of energy that pulsed with the same rhythm as the musical signals. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. There, Ben said, pointing at the main screen. That looks like a docking port. Sure enough, one of the smaller crystals had opened up, revealing a chamber just the right size for their ship. Lights inside the chamber showed them exactly where to position the Discovery. Are we really going to do this? Amy asked. Jake looked around at his crew. These 3 people had trusted him to lead them farther from home than any human had ever gone. Now they were about to meet beings that had been watching humanity since before recorded history. We came out here to explore, he said. This is what exploration looks like. The Discovery settled gently into the crystal chamber. As soon as they were in position, the opening sealed behind them. But instead of feeling trapped, Jake felt welcomed. Life support is holding steady, Amy reported. Whatever this place is, it's keeping us safe. Captain, Lisa said, staring at her instruments. I'm reading artificial gravity, breathable atmosphere, and temperature controls that are adjusting. To make us comfortable. It's like this place was built for us. Jake stood up straight and adjusted his uniform. Well then, I guess it's time to meet our hosts. The 4 humans looked at each other, knowing that whatever happened next would change humanity forever. Jake Morrison led his crew through the Discovery's airlock and into the crystal chamber. The air felt warm and clean, with a faint smell like rain on summer grass. The walls around them glowed with soft patterns that seemed to pulse like a slow heartbeat. This is incredible, Lisa whispered, running her hand along the smooth crystal surface. The molecular structure is unlike anything we've ever discovered. It's like the walls are alive. A doorway appeared in front of them, opening silently to reveal a corridor that stretched into the distance. The walls were covered with symbols that seemed to shift and change as they watched. Those symbols, Lisa said, pulling out her tablet to take pictures. I've seen some of them before. Where? Jake asked. In archaeological sites on Earth. The Antikythera mechanism had markings like these. So did some of the stone circles in Britain and the pyramids in Egypt. But that's impossible. Those sites are thousands of years old. Ben pointed down the corridor. Look, there's light coming from that direction, and I'm still hearing that music, but it's clearer now, almost like it's welcoming us. They walked slowly down the corridor, their footsteps making no sound on the crystal floor. Amy kept checking, her instrument shaking her head in amazement. The energy readings are off the charts, she said, but it's controlled perfectly. No waste, no dangerous radiation. This technology is thousands of years ahead of ours. The corridor opened into a vast chamber that took their breath away. The ceiling disappeared into darkness high above them, while the walls curved away in all directions. In the center of the room stood a figure made of what looked like starlight itself. The being was tall and graceful, its form shifting between solid and transparent. Sometimes it looked almost human, other times like a collection of stars and cosmic dust. When it spoke, its voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. Welcome, children of Earth, it said in perfect English. I am Keeper Zahn. We have been waiting for you for a very long time. Jake stepped forward, trying to keep his voice steady. You know our language? We have known your language since before your species learned to speak it, Zahn replied. We have watched your people grow, from the first sparks of intelligence to the brave explorers who now stand before us. Lisa moved closer, her scientific mind racing with questions. You're the architects, the ones who built these crystal structures. How long have you been watching us? Zahn's form shifted, becoming more solid and human-like. Since your species first looked up at the stars and wondered what lay beyond your world. We are what you might call the architects, though we have forgotten our original name. We have existed since this galaxy was young. Why? Amy asked. Why watch us? Why not make contact before now? The being that called itself Zahn moved to one of the walls, which suddenly came alive with images, Jake and his crew saw the history of their galaxy played out like a movie. Young species rising, growing powerful, then destroying themselves or others in terrible wars. We learned long ago that contact too early can be devastating, Zahn explained. Young species must find their own path to wisdom, or they become dependent and weak. We chose instead to guide from the shadows, leaving small hints and tools for those ready to use them. The images on the wall focused on Earth. Jake saw early humans discovering fire, but the first sparks came from strange stones that seemed to ignite by themselves. He saw the builders of ancient monuments using tools that appeared mysteriously and disappeared just as quickly. The leap your species made 70,000 years ago, Zahn continued, when your ancestors suddenly became more intelligent, more creative, more capable of abstract thought. That was not evolution alone. We helped, but so gently that your scientists still debate what caused the change. Ben stared at the images in wonder. You've been helping us all along. Every major breakthrough in human history. Not every breakthrough, Zahn corrected. Only when your species faced extinction, or when a small push would help you discover something you were already close to understanding. The creativity, the determination, the refusal to give up in the face of impossible odds, those qualities are purely human. Lisa pulled out her tablet and showed Zahn pictures from archaeological sites. These symbols, the precise stonework, the mathematical knowledge that shouldn't have existed yet, that was you. We left signs for those who would one day be able to understand them, Zahn said. Your archaeologists have found them but could never explain them, until now. Jake felt overwhelmed by the enormity of what he was learning. Why are you telling us this now? What's changed? Zahn's form became more serious, the starlight in his body pulsing more slowly. Your species has reached a critical point. You have developed space travel, nuclear power, artificial intelligence. Other species in the galaxy have noticed your rapid expansion and growth. Some see you as a threat. A threat? Amy asked. We've never even met another intelligent species before today. That is precisely why some fear you, Zahn explained. Humans develop faster than any species we have observed. In just 10,000 years you went from simple farming to space exploration. Most species take 100,000 years or more to achieve what you have accomplished. The images on the wall changed, showing other alien civilizations. Some looked peaceful, others appeared warlike. All of them seemed ancient and established. There are those who believe your species should be contained before you become too powerful, Zahn continued. Others think you should be eliminated entirely. A few, like us, believe you have the potential to become something greater than even we achieved. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. So we're in danger? Perhaps. But that is not the only reason we reveal ourselves now. Zahn's form brightened again. We face a choice that we have never faced before. For millions of years we have guided young species in secret. But your people have shown qualities we have not seen in any other race. What qualities? Lisa asked. Hope, Zahn said simply. Even when faced with extinction, humans hope. Even when everything seems lost, you find new solutions. Even when divided among yourselves, you can unite against a common threat. Most species lose this quality as they grow older and more advanced. We lost it long ago. Ben looked around the vast chamber with its impossible architecture. You mean beings as advanced as you don't have hope? We have knowledge, power, and wisdom, Zahn replied. But in our transcendence beyond physical form, we lost something essential. We can no longer feel wonder at a sunset, or joy at a child's, laughter or the satisfaction of overcoming a challenge through determination alone. Amy seemed to understand. And you think humans can keep those qualities even as we advance? We believe humans may be the first species capable of achieving great power without losing their essential humanity, Zahn said. But we must be certain. And more importantly, we must decide if we are willing to openly claim you as our spiritual children. Jake felt the weight of Zahn's words. Claim us? What would that mean? It would mean protection under the oldest laws of this galaxy, Zahn explained. But it would also mean that every advanced species would know that we consider you worthy of our legacy. Some would welcome you. Others would see you as a threat to the established order. The chamber fell silent except for the distant musical harmonies that seemed to be part of the station itself. Jake looked at his crew, seeing the same mixture of awe and fear in their faces that he felt in his own heart. What happens now? He asked. Zahn's form began to fade slightly. Now, children of Earth, you must prove that our faith in your species is justified. The choice is not ours alone to make. Keeper Zahn led the human crew through corridors that seemed to reshape themselves as they walked. The crystal walls showed flowing patterns of light that felt almost alive. Jake Morrison found himself wondering if they were walking through a building or inside some vast living creature. The Architect Council is divided about your species, Zahn explained as they walked. Half of us believe humans are ready to join the galactic community as our acknowledged descendants. The other half fear that your rapid development and aggressive nature make you dangerous even to us. Lisa Carter looked around at the impossible architecture surrounding them. Dangerous to beings who can build something like this? That seems hard to believe. Power is not the same as wisdom, Zahn replied. We learned this lesson long ago when we nearly destroyed our entire galaxy through war. We survived by evolving beyond physical existence and dedicating ourselves to helping younger species avoid our mistakes. They entered a new chamber where 4 separate doorways glowed with different colored light. Red, blue, green, and gold. Each doorway seemed to lead to a completely different environment. You must each face a trial, Zahn said. These tests are not about your individual abilities. They are about the nature of humanity itself. What you do here will help the Council decide if your species is ready for the truth of your cosmic heritage. Jake stepped toward the red doorway. What kind of trials? Each trial is designed to test a different aspect of human nature, Zahn explained. Captain Morrison, your trial will test leadership and the choices you make when victory comes at a terrible cost. Dr. Carter, you will face puzzles that require both scientific knowledge and intuitive understanding. Mr. Rodriguez, you must communicate with beings who see you as an enemy, using only empathy and patience. Ms. Walsh, you will be offered unlimited technological knowledge, but at a price. Amy looked at the golden doorway that seemed to call to her. What happens if we fail? Then humanity will remain under our hidden protection, as you have been for millennia. But you will never know the full truth of your potential or your place in the galaxy. Ben moved toward the green doorway. And if we succeed? Then the real challenges begin, Zahn said softly. Jake squared his shoulders. We didn't come this far to turn back now. We're ready. One by one, the crew members entered their respective doorways. Jake found himself in what looked like the bridge of a starship under attack. Warning lights flashed red, and the sound of weapons fire echoed through the chamber. Holographic displays showed enemy ships surrounding a convoy of refugee vessels. Captain, a voice said behind him. Jake turned to see a young officer who looked exactly like Ben Rodriguez, but wearing a different uniform. The enemy fleet has us outnumbered 3-1. We can break through their lines and escape, but we'll have to abandon the refugee ships. Or we can stay and fight, but our chances of survival are almost zero. Jake studied the tactical display. The enemy ships were clearly superior in firepower and speed. A direct assault would mean certain death for his crew. But the refugee ships held thousands of innocent lives. Is there another option? He asked. You could surrender, the officer replied. The enemy might spare the refugees if we give up our weapons and technology. Jake thought about every great military leader he had studied. Sometimes retreat was the wise choice. Sometimes sacrifice was necessary. But sometimes there was a third option that nobody else could see. Open a channel to the enemy commander, he ordered. Sir? Do it. The main screen flickered, showing an alien face covered in scales and burning red eyes. Human captain, you will surrender or watch those you protect die. I have a different proposal, Jake said calmly. Single combat. Your best warrior against me. If I win, you let the refugees go free. If you win, you can have our ship and technology. The alien commander laughed, a harsh sound like breaking glass. You would risk everything on single combat? A good leader knows when to fight and when to find another way, Jake replied. This is my choice. Meanwhile, in the blue chamber, Lisa found herself in a vast library filled with books, computers, and strange devices she didn't recognize. Ancient symbols covered the walls, shifting and changing as she watched. To unlock the knowledge of the architects, a voice said from nowhere, you must solve 3 puzzles. But these puzzles cannot be solved by logic alone. They require understanding that goes beyond science. The first puzzle appeared as a 3-dimensional maze of light floating in the air. Lisa studied it carefully, noting the mathematical relationships between the pathways. But as she began to trace the logical solution, the maze changed. She realized that the puzzle was responding to her emotions as much as her thoughts. She closed her eyes and let herself feel instead of think. The maze wanted her to understand that some problems required intuition as well as analysis. When she opened her eyes, the path through the maze was clear. In the green chamber, Ben stood face to face with creatures that looked like nightmares made real. They had too many teeth, too many eyes, and they snarled at him with obvious hatred. Humans are destroyers, one of the creatures hissed. Humans bring war and death wherever they go. Why should we not tear you apart right now? Ben felt fear flood through his body, but he also remembered Zahn's words about empathy and patience. These creatures were afraid of humans, he realized. Their aggression came from fear, not evil. You're right to be afraid, he said softly. Humans have done terrible things. We've fought wars, destroyed our environment, and hurt each other. But we've also learned from our mistakes. We've also shown kindness to those who needed help, even when it cost us greatly. Lies, another creature growled. Humans only care about themselves. Then why are we here? Ben asked. Why did we travel farther from home than any human has ever gone? We came to explore, to learn, to find new friends among the stars. Not to conquer or destroy. The creatures circled him, but their snarls seemed less fierce now. Ben continued talking, sharing stories of human compassion and growth. Slowly, very slowly, their hostility began to fade. In the golden chamber, Amy stood before a control panel that seemed to hold every piece of technology humanity had ever dreamed of. Faster-than-light travel, unlimited energy, perfect medical technology, artificial intelligence beyond imagination. All of this can be yours, a voice whispered. You can bring these gifts back to your people and end every form of human suffering, forever. All you have to do is stay here and learn. Leave your crew behind. They will be safe, but you will never see Earth again. Amy's hands hovered over the controls. She could solve every problem humanity faced. No more disease, no more poverty, no more war, but the price was abandoning her friends and her home forever. She thought about what made humans special. It wasn't their technology or their power. It was their connections to each other, their willingness to sacrifice for those they loved, their refusal to leave anyone behind. No, she said firmly. Knowledge without friends to share it with isn't worth having. Power without home to protect isn't worth gaining. One by one, the trials ended. Jake found himself back in the main chamber with his crew, all of them looking shaken but determined. Zahn appeared before them, his starlight form brighter than before. You have each chosen correctly, he said. Captain Morrison, you found a solution that honored both courage and wisdom. Dr. Carter, you learned that some truths require feeling as well as thinking. Mr. Rodriguez, you turned enemies into friends through understanding and patience. Ms. Walsh, you chose loyalty and love over power and knowledge. Did we pass? Lisa asked. You have shown the Council something we had almost forgotten, Zahn replied. You have reminded us that true strength comes not from power alone, but from the connections between individuals and the willingness to sacrifice for others. Jake felt a weight lift from his shoulders. So what happens now? Zahn's form began to fade. Now comes the real test. The galaxy must decide if they are ready for humanity to take its place among the stars. 3 days after the trials, Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of a ship unlike anything he had ever imagined. The architects had given him and his crew passage aboard one of their vessels to travel to the core worlds, the center of galactic civilization. Through the viewing ports, he could see hundreds of different alien ships, each representing a species that had existed for millions of years. "Captain, I'm reading over 2,000 different ship designs," Amy reported from her temporary station. "Some of these civilizations are older than our solar system." Lisa looked up from the alien console she was trying to understand. "And they're all here because of us, because the architects want to claim humanity as their descendants." Keeper Zahn materialized beside them, his starlight form more solid than usual. "The Galactic Tribunal has not been convened in over 1,000,000 years. Your species has created quite a stir." Ben turned from his communication station, where he had been listening to alien transmissions. "Most of these messages sound angry. They don't seem happy about humans joining their club. Many species believe the galaxy has a natural order," Zahn explained. "Older civilizations guide younger ones, but always from a distance. The idea of openly accepting a species as young as humanity threatens that order." The ship approached a massive space station that seemed to be built from the remains of dead stars. It pulsed with energy that hurt to look at directly. Taking, bays large enough to hold entire cities opened to receive the thousands of ships that had come for the tribunal. "The core world station," Zahn said. "Built by the first species to achieve faster-than-light travel, long before even we architects existed. It has been neutral ground for galactic politics for millions of years." As they docked, Jake felt the weight of what was about to happen. He and his small crew were about to represent all of humanity before beings whose civilizations spanned the history of the galaxy. One wrong word could doom their species to eternal isolation or worse. The docking bay was filled with aliens of every shape and size imaginable. Some looked like giant insects, others like living crystals, still others like shapes that hurt to look at. All of them turned to stare as the humans walked past. "They're afraid of us," Amy whispered. "I can see it in how they move away from us." "Fear and respect often look the same," Zahn replied. "Your species' rapid development has impressed many and terrified others." They entered the tribunal chamber, a vast spherical room where representatives of hundreds of species sat in rings that extended up into the darkness above. At the center was a platform where the humans would make their case. A being that looked like a tree made of metal and electricity stood up. Its voice sounded like wind through leaves mixed with the hum of machinery. "I am Speaker Vorth of the Hegemony Coalition," it announced. "We represent the established order of this galaxy. We have called this tribunal to address the dangerous precedent the architects wish to set." Jake stepped forward onto the central platform. "I am Captain Jake Morrison, representing humanity. We didn't ask for this tribunal. We didn't even know other intelligent life existed until a few days ago." A wave of sounds filled the chamber as thousands of aliens spoke at once. Some sounded like laughter, others like hissing or clicking. Vorth raised a metallic branch for silence. "That ignorance is precisely the problem," Vorth said. "Humans have developed faster than any known species. In the time it takes most civilizations to discover agriculture, humans went from caves to space travel. This rapid growth is unprecedented and dangerous." Images appeared in the air above the platform, showing human history. Wars, environmental destruction, nuclear weapons, and aggressive expansion into space. Jake felt his heart sink as he watched. The worst moments of human civilization displayed for all to see. "Humans are violent and unpredictable," another alien spoke up, this one looking like a collection of floating geometric shapes. "They fight among themselves constantly. They destroy their own environment. They create weapons capable of ending all life on their planet. How can such a species be trusted with architect protection?" Lisa stepped up beside Jake. "We don't deny our past mistakes, but you're only showing part of the story." "What part are we missing?" Vorth asked. "The part where humans change," Lisa said. "Yes, we've fought wars, but we've also learned from them. We created the United Nations to prevent global conflicts. We've developed international law to protect human rights. We've started working together to fix our environmental problems. Ben joined them on the platform. And we've never given up. When we face disasters, natural or man-made, humans from all over the world help each other. We risk our lives to save strangers. We share our knowledge and resources with those who need them. Pretty words, Vorth replied. But actions matter more than words. Humans are still divided into competing nations. They still fight over resources and territory. What happens when they bring that aggression to the stars? Amy stepped forward. We're here, aren't we? We came to explore, not to conquer. When we found the architects, we didn't try to take their technology by force. We listened. We learned. We accepted their tests. Zahn moved to the center of the platform, his light form causing many aliens to fall silent. The hegemony speaks of human aggression and rapid development as if these are flaws. But I ask you to consider another possibility. The chamber grew quiet. Even the most ancient species listened when an architect spoke. Humans develop quickly because they must, Zahn continued. Their world is harsh, their lives are short, and their challenges are constant. This has made them adaptable in ways we have not seen in any other species. New images appeared above the platform. Humans helping each other during disasters, sharing food during famines, caring for the sick and elderly, exploring space not for conquest but for knowledge. When humans face extinction, they do not simply accept it, Zahn said. They find new solutions. When they are divided, they find ways to unite against common threats. When they are afraid, they still show courage. These qualities are not weaknesses. They are the very traits that allowed them to survive and thrive on a difficult world. An alien that looked like a living cloud of gas drifted closer to the platform. But what about their aggression, their tendency toward violence? Every species that has survived to reach the stars has been aggressive, Zahn replied. The difference is that humans have learned to direct that aggression toward problems rather than people. They fight diseases, natural disasters, and ignorance with the same intensity they once used in wars against each other. Jake felt a surge of hope. We're not perfect. We may never be perfect, but we keep trying to be better. Every generation of humans works to leave a better world for their children. That's what brought us to the stars. Vorth's metallic form seemed to dim. And what happens when human expansion threatens other species? What happens when their rapid growth puts them in conflict with established civilizations? Then we'll find a way to work together, Lisa said firmly. Just like we're trying to do right now, humans aren't interested in dominating the galaxy. We want to be part of it. The tribunal chamber fell silent as thousands of alien minds considered what they had heard. Finally, an ancient voice spoke from the highest ring of seats. The tribunal will consider what has been presented. The accused species will wait while we deliberate. As the aliens began to file out of the chamber, Jake looked at his crew and Keeper Zahn. They had said their piece. Now all they could do was wait and hope that the galaxy was ready to accept humanity as part of the cosmic community. How long do these deliberations usually take? Amy asked. Sometimes hours, Zahn replied. Sometimes centuries. Time moves differently when you live, as long as some of these species. Jake settled in to wait, knowing that the future of humanity hung in the balance of alien minds that had seen the rise and fall of countless civilizations. All he could do was hope that humanity's best qualities had shown through their worst mistakes. Jake Morrison sat in the waiting chamber for what felt like days, though the alien clocks made it impossible to tell how much time had really passed. Through the transparent walls, he could see ships from across the galaxy hovering around the Core World Station, their crews waiting for the tribunal's decision. Captain, Ben said from his position by the communication panel, I'm picking up signals from Earth. The government is asking for status updates, but they have no idea what we're really dealing with here. Lisa looked up from her datapad, where she had been reviewing everything they had learned about the architects. How do you even explain this to people back home? That we've been secretly guided by ancient aliens for our entire history? One step at a time, Jake replied. First, we need to see if we still have a future to explain it to. Amy was working on a device that Keeper Zahn had given her, something that would allow them to communicate with Earth across the vast distance instantly. I keep thinking about what happens next. Win or lose, everything changes for humanity after today. Zahn materialized in the center of the room, his starlight form flickering with what looked like nervousness. The deliberations are taking longer than expected. Some of the eldest species are bringing up events from millions of years ago, trying to find precedents for this situation. Is that good or bad? Jake asked. It means they are taking your case seriously, Zahn replied. A quick decision would have meant rejection. The fact that they are debating means there is genuine disagreement about what to do with humanity. Suddenly, the chamber filled with a harmonic tone that seemed to resonate in their bones. The walls became transparent, showing the massive tribunal chamber where thousands of alien representatives were taking their seats again. The tribunal has reached a decision, Zahn said. It is time. They returned to the central platform where Speaker Vorth waited with several other alien representatives. The ancient voice that had spoken before echoed through the chamber. After extensive deliberation, the Galactic Tribunal has reached an unprecedented decision regarding the species known as humans and their relationship to the architects. Jake felt his heart pounding as the voice continued. The tribunal recognizes that humanity represents a unique case in galactic history. Their rapid development and young age make them unlike any species we have previously encountered. However, the evidence presented by the architects regarding their long guardianship, combined with humanity's performance in the trials, has convinced us that special measures are warranted. The chamber filled with alien sounds as thousands of species reacted to the words. Jake couldn't tell if they were happy or angry about what was coming next. Humanity will be granted provisional status as architect descendants, with the following conditions. First, they must prove themselves through actions, not words, over the next 100 Earth years. Second, they will be assigned mentors from 3 different ancient species to help guide their development. Third, any expansion beyond their current solar system must be approved by a council of 12 species until they reach full membership. Vorth's metallic form seemed to grow brighter. And if they fail to meet these conditions, then their provisional status will be revoked, and they will return to their previous classification as a developing species under standard galactic protection protocols. Jake stepped forward. What exactly do we need to prove? The ancient voice replied that humanity can grow in wisdom as quickly as they grow in power, that they can become valuable members of the galactic community rather than a threat to it, that the architect's faith in your species is justified. Lisa asked, what kind of mentors will we have? A new alien approached the platform, one that looked like a tall, graceful being made of flowing water. I am Counselor Mirren of the Serenity Union. We have guided 17 species through their early development over the last 1,000,000 years. We will help you learn patience and long-term thinking. Another alien stepped forward, this one resembling a massive spider made of crystallized light. I am Engineer Claxon of the Builder Collective. We will share knowledge of technology and how to develop it responsibly without destroying yourselves or others. The third mentor was the most surprising, a being that looked almost human except for silver skin and eyes like stars. I am Ambassador Rel of the Unity Worlds. We were once much like humans, aggressive and quick to anger. We will teach you how to channel those traits toward positive goals. Jake looked at his crew, seeing the same mixture of excitement and worry in their faces that he felt. This is more than we ever hoped for, but also more responsibility than we imagined. Zahn moved closer to the humans. The tribunal has given humanity a great gift, but also a great challenge. You must return to Earth and help your species prepare for their new role in the galaxy. How do we even begin? Amy asked. The same way humanity has always begun, Zahn replied. One step at a time, with courage and hope. The tribunal chamber began to empty as alien representatives returned to their ships. Some stopped to stare at the humans with curiosity, others with what might have been respect, and a few with obvious concern. As they walked back toward their transport, Ben picked up a signal on his communicator. Captain, I'm getting a transmission from beyond the galactic rim. It's faint, but it looks like the same kind of harmonic patterns we heard from the architects. Zahn stopped moving, his form becoming very still. That should not be possible. What does it mean? Lisa asked. It means that our galaxy is not alone, Zahn said slowly. There are other galaxies with their own ancient guardians. If they are reaching out, it suggests that humanity's test may have been preparation for something much larger. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. Larger how? We do not know, Zahn admitted. But the architects have always believed that someday, the young species we guide might surpass us. Perhaps humanity's unique qualities will be needed for challenges that we ourselves cannot face. They boarded the architect vessel for the journey back to Earth. As the core world station fell away behind them, Jake looked out at the stars with new understanding. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. They had family among the stars, ancient guardians who had watched over them since the beginning. But they also had responsibilities. They had to prove themselves worthy of the trust placed in them. They had to grow up quickly without losing the qualities that made them special. Amy, how long until we reach Earth? Jake asked. 3 days with architect technology, she replied. The mentors will arrive a week later to begin setting up educational exchanges. And then the real work begins, Lisa said. Jake nodded, watching. Earth's sun grow brighter ahead of them. We need to prepare our people for the biggest change in human history. We're not just explorers anymore. We're the newest children of an ancient cosmic family. Ben looked up from his communications console. Captain, I'm receiving a message from Earth. They want to know if we found anything interesting out here. Jake smiled for the first time in days. Tell them we found our place in the universe, and that we have a lot of work to do, as the ship headed home, carrying news that would transform human civilization forever. The strange signals from beyond the galaxy continued to pulse in the darkness, suggesting that humanity's greatest adventures were still to come. Keeper Zahn appeared beside them one last time. Welcome to the galactic community, children of Earth. May you find the wisdom to match your courage and the patience to match your dreams. The stars seemed brighter somehow, no longer distant points of light, but destinations waiting to be explored by a species that had finally learned they were never truly alone.